I was reading this poll and it said that 55% of all Americans experience high stress daily. Now, I thought this was interesting because I actually thought it'd probably be higher, right? And that wasn't even including teens, kids, the mix, right? So it's probably a lot higher than that. The key is if you're experiencing high stress, you're definitely not alone. If you're overwhelmed, if you're more emotional, if you feel like you just can't get to the bottom of it, despite all the meditation apps, adding the cold plunges in, the star charts with the kids, you get it, right? You're still overwhelmed with stress. In fact, they dug in and they said 27% of people get so stressed that they can't function. They can't do the things they need to do and they have to cut things out of their life, right? And so the answer, really, or I guess the question to ask then is if this is so prevalent, what are we doing about it? And if we're doing a lot of things about it, why isn't that fixing it? And so for today's video, I wanted to go into more the root cause. What is the root cause of the nervous system getting overwhelmed? Not stress, because stress is going to be there. Stress is all around us every single day, with kids, with life, with everything. But what is the root cause of our nervous system getting so overwhelmed? Because if we know the root cause, then we can help ourselves get out of it. Well, when you dig into neurology and you look at the nervous system, there's two main sides of it. There's this sympathetic side, which is the go, 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 the fight or flight, the protection side. And there's the parasympathetic side, the rest and digest side. Now, oftentimes we've been taught that these are a teeter-totter, right? If you're in one, you're not in the other. Well, the truth is, think of them both as batteries. They both need to have full batteries so our brain can turn one on all the way when it needs it. It can turn it then off the right way when it needs it, and then turn the other one on when it needs it. So if you've got a really great go, 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 be in fight or flight mode system, that's going to be great. It's going to be great to respond to work stress, to life stress. It's great for your kids to be able to take that test, play that sport, do those things. But then you've got to have the signaling to turn that off. And the same is true for the parasympathetic system. We've got to be able to turn that on and say, hey, now's the time for me to chill. Now's the time for me to rest, to relax, to dig into that good side of really refueling at the right time. The key is really two things of where we struggle just in today's culture with that balance in the nervous system. One, we are overly sympathetic dominant. So that sympathetic side that is supposed to be on during those high stress periods is flat out stuck on. It never turns off. And that's why we call it sympathetic dominance. And it can't turn off. So then when we sit down for a nice dinner, when we, lay in bed at night, our brain is just constantly going and we never ever turn off. Now, a lot of this is because, a lot of the external input we have, right? Technology, busyness, everything and above programs our brain to that. But when we can't turn it off, that's a serious issue because then we can't be in that rest and refuel, the parasympathetic state. The other problem we have is if we stay in this sympathetic state for too long, the body doesn't do well there. It does that well there in short bursts. And eventually that leads to a lot of confusion in our nervous system. For kids, this is a lot of times when they struggle with behavior struggles or big emotions or meltdowns or tantrums. It's where we feel very overwhelmed and angry. We still have that sympathetic dominance, but it's like, gosh, why can't I break through this? But long-term you stay there and that confusion goes to more exhaustion, where we're tired out, where we're worn out. This is the kiddo, that just feels like not really doing anything, doesn't have motivation. For an adult, it's, man, I've got maybe adrenal fatigue, or I know I need to work out. I know I need to get this work project done, but I've just got no energy for it. So long-term imbalance of that sympathetic system leads to exhaustion. So what is the answer to this? How do we get that balance back? Well, there's two main things. One is we have to have the brain telling our body and being on the same page with it to tell it what to do at the right time. Now, what happens in our nervous system is our nervous system gets stressed from a variety of regions, from the physical realm, from the emotional side of it, and even from the environmental side of it. Think about it as, the nutrition, the foods we eat, the things we're exposed to, all of those big three things, and then add in tech, right? And that doesn't help either. So all of those big stressors come and they affect our nervous system to really get it locked up, not only physically, but chemically and emotionally. And that causes regions of our body to work harder. One of the key areas is right up here in the upper neck. Physically, we see that with, when we're like decreased range of motion, not able to turn to the right or left, not able to move in the same way. We see that emotionally because we feel so stressed. And this area with the vagus nerve is key for digestion, key for respiration, key for a lot of other autonomic functions of the body, especially for kids, the sensory system and the social system. So when we get stressed up here, it's not only a physical problem, it's also an emotional one. And that causes us to overall get in this perfect storm of stress that we just can't turn off, that we need to help unlock to change so that we can say, okay, we've turned off that sympathetic dominance so we can take time into that parasympathetic side of the nervous system. Now that's where pediatric chiropractic and family chiropractic come in, is they allow us to measure and then target those areas that get overwhelmed and stressed by either the physical side of it, the nutritional side of it, the chemical side of it, and the emotional side of it, all of those key stressors to balance the signaling of that nervous system. When you balance that signaling and get out of sympathetic dominant, it allows the body to refuel. It allows the exhaustion to come out and allows us to safely operate in that sympathetic nervous system. And I think that's key, because if they're saying 55% of Americans experience stress, I really bet it's about 75 or 80%. It's probably a little bit more than that. And the 27% of those who are debilitated by it is probably pretty high too. And so the only way to not get completely overwhelmed with that is to make sure your nervous system is balancing that parasympathetic side, that sympathetic side, so that way it can adapt and it can move throughout the day and it can be efficient in the one it needs, and it can refuel when it needs to refuel, it can go when it needs to go. So if you've tried all the things, the cold plunges, the meditation, you've maybe tried to exercise out of it, you've tried to sleep your way out of it, you tried to supplement your way out of it, all of these things, it might mean that the struggle is a little bit deeper. The struggle is in that nervous system, and balancing that is gonna help you get out of that cycle of overwhelmed stress and an overactive sympathetic dominant nervous system. If you have more questions about this, we got the resources for you, because we love helping kids and families with this very conversation. When they've tried everything to break that cycle, to get out of that exhaustion, and they just can't, we're here for you. So check us out in our DM, shoot us a message. We'd love to chat, but hope this finds you well and hope this helps you get your nervous system out of that overactive stress cycle.